Welcome to Martini Time, the beautiful time of the day. So, okay, now my throat's clear. I gave a talk this morning and it never took, really. I never could get it posted. My iPod's battery was so low, even though I had it plugged in, I don't think I had enough energy to get it up this morning. So I just deleted it. But I want to talk about what I was talking about this morning, and but with just a different title. The title of this talk is "Be a Riverboat Pilot of Culture." A riverboat pilot of culture, and I get that idea from Mark Twain. So I remember reading Mark Twain's book on the river, I forgot the name of it. But it was about being a riverboat pilot. And the riverboat pilot of the Mississippi would know every twig, every little ripple meant something. To the passengers, that was just a ripple, just a twig. But for the riverboat pilot, it was a sign of what was underneath the surface. Could be a sandbar, could be a log, a rock, you know. He could read the ripples to see what was underneath the surface. So we look at culture today, and we really have a great view. I mean, we have this social media here that's being invented and created as we speak. It's moving so rapidly we can't even, we think we've always had it. And we're always putting up little things. So, do you remember when telephone lines were plugged into the wall? When a mouse had a cord, do you remember that? It moves so fast, But what we're really looking at is the surface of culture. Like either we're a passenger or a riverboat pilot. Now the passenger looks at the culture, you see, and doesn't see what's underneath it. He doesn't see what's underneath the surface. He just sees the ripples and says, oh, look, there's a ripple. Or he just stares at it, doesn't understand what it is. But the riverboat pilot sees what's beneath the surface and steers according to that, you see. So culture is like that. Culture is like a river. It's flowing by us through this medium, through this picture, little window here. You go on social media and your posts, your blogs and your hubs and all of our news websites and all of that, you see, and it's just popping with the ripples of the day. And we just look at it like, oh, there's a ripple. Oh my God, there's a ripple. We just identify with the content. And we really don't have we can't see beneath the surface and see the ripples, the patterns. The patterns, you see. I've been talking about the patterns of perception. Well, if you want to study our American culture, you need to be sensitive to the patterns. Now, this is detective work. The detectives connect dots. They look at this crime, then they connect dots with other. Well, that has a similar pattern to that crime. Or they look at evidence, and this reminds me of another crime. So they're constantly seeing patterns. You catch the crook by noticing patterns, you see, because he doesn't notice them. So everyone's in a pattern, but there's always something we don't notice, says the good detective. No matter how good the criminal is, he's going to leave the track of a pattern. You see, the stupid criminal is big patterns, the subtle criminal, very small patterns. But that makes the mystery. And it also makes a river pilot. So to navigate through life by noticing the patterns, noticing, connecting dots. Because when you connect dots, you get a satori. You get a little, aha, I see, I know, eureka. Eureka comes when you connect enough dots to create a picture. And the whole appears to you as a picture, as an image that contains the whole story, you see. So the image that, just jumping around here, connect the dots when I talk. So you look at DNA or a hologram. One of the things about a DNA or a hologram is that in a hologram, every point contains the whole hologram. So if you have if you put your point on any point, you see the whole picture pops up. Every cell in the body contains the DNA of the whole cell. That's why they can clone the body from one thing. This is an interesting fact, just a little side fact, you know. I'm reading again at my Joseph Chilton Pearce, and he was talking about the Aborigines in their dream time in Australia. And dream time was you know, their culture goes back 30,000 years. And they had cultivated this dream time consciousness in which when they entered into it, they could see the whole of their tribe. They could see where the rain was falling. They could see where the animals they needed to hunt were. They could see where everybody in the tribe was in that dream time. So in that implicate order, that was like the causal order of the external order, the causal order, the whole was contained. And so they could go into dream time, and it was a very euphoric place because the totality was there. And this Aborigine, these scientists were with them, and they went over a trail, and a year later they came back and said to their Aborigine fellow, "Can you track the trail we left a year ago over this bare rock?" And he said, "Yes, but just give me a piece of clothing of somebody who went on that trail." So they gave him a piece of clothing from one of the people that had made that track, and he followed it, not like looking down. He just ran. He just followed it running. You see, he was in dream time. And that is the implicate order. Everything is contained in the implicate order, you see. It's pure potential, but I don't want to get off on that. I want to get back to being a river pilot. So the whole culture can be contained in one ripple or a particular field of the culture. So you look at, say, Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. That's a ripple in the news today. Now, is that just an isolated ripple? Or is that a pattern, a cultural pattern that is coming to the surface on this riverboat of social media? See, this social media is like a riverboat, and culture is the river, and we're on it, you see, and we're looking at the river through the lens of this social media. And things appear on social media, in the news, pop, you see. And they all seem to be isolated events. But we're going to be Sherlock here. We see a pattern. So isn't there a pattern between, and I know a lot of people are reporting on this, but I think, you know, everything, this, if you follow the pattern, is like follow the money. You know, that was a movie. Follow the money, right? We'll follow the pattern or connect the dots. What's being done, not what's being said. You see, follow the body, follow the facts, follow the pattern is what's happening. The content of the particular moment is a diversion if that's all we focus on. See, so everything appears from a pattern. So just this particular incident, you know, Harvey Weinstein. So you have a power mogul, let's see, a celebrity, a very creative power career, you see. And you have Bill Cosby, and you have all of the men in Fox News, and Bill Clinton, you see, the Tiger Woods. Those are just a few, but there's so many more that don't get to the top and don't make a ripple on the social media. You see, you really have to be a part of a big pattern in order to make a ripple on the news. So much goes on that never gets to the top, to the surface, you see. So we're just looking at the surface here through this window, through this porthole on our cruise ship of social media. We're just looking at We're just looking out this window, looking at the river of culture flowing by. Of course, we're in the river, but we're also watching the river. It's a strange interaction here. We're in social media through the cell phones and through our computers. We're interacting with it. We're creating it. We're sending in YouTubes. You know, we're creators of this. It's called interaction. Creator created. Creator/created. So we're the creator of the internet and the created, you see. But we also have the capacity to observe the culture flowing through us as a river pilot would. To notice the dots and be interested and be curious. We watch every afternoon, we watch these British mysteries. And they all have one thing in common. The detective is curious. The detective is curious. Well, isn't that interesting? Why did that happen? Well, you know, and so they become curious. Why did it happen? They ask a question. What's behind that? Something happens, it's just a little ripple. What's behind that? Is there a log down there? What's going on beneath the surface? What pops up like a sine wave, you see? You just note the little points. But what's down here? Where's the iceberg? So all these detective mysteries are about uncovering the iceberg, you see. So is Harvey Weinstein an iceberg? You see? So then this morning, let me check my time. Okay, we're good. So this morning I was connecting dots up. Of course now, again, I mean, I've spent my whole life studying culture and myself. I mean, because you and I are culture. So if you study yourself and you want to know how your mind operates, you're also going to be able to know how culture operates because it's the same mind. It's just the external and the internal of the same mind, reflecting each other in a mirror. So our minds, our acculturated minds are like a mirror reflecting the big culture, and the big culture reflects us. In the same way that your computer and cell phone is the internet, but it's the point where the internet is materialized and personified through you, but you are the internet personified as you. But the whole internet is you too, you see. Speaking in terms of you as a cell phone or a computer, you see. So it's kind of like that hologram. If you punch you, the whole internet is there, the whole culture is there, you see. But you just select which part of it you want to look at, you see. So each one of us has the freedom to select which part of the whole we want to look at, you see. But the whole is potentially in us. You see that? The whole internet, the whole global internet is in this little thing here. So your brain, now carrying the metaphor, your brain, your mind brain has the whole of humanity in it. It's all there. But we just choose which part of it to look at. And we think it's all fragmented, you see. But every fragment, every dot, you see, has a pattern or a whole behind it. So getting back to Harvey Weinstein, so what I talked about this morning basically was, to me, having studied Carl Jung and psychotherapy and all this stuff, yada, 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 you see, I do know something about the anima and the animus. These are Jung's archetype for the feminine principle and the male principle. And so in the Greek, my daughter was just in the play Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and that was based on the Platonic myth or origin story of humanity. And in the Platonic origin story, the original man had 4 arms, 4 legs, and he was androgynous. He was androgynous, both sexes were one. He was one. Androgynous. A whole man, both male and female. There wasn't no any male, female. They were one. So, but the original man was so powerful, the gods were threatened, so they went to Zeus and said, you got to do something to take away the power of this man. So Zeus, so he divided man in half into male and female. So that created a yearning for our original wholeness. And so man was now preoccupied with restoring his unity, finding his soulmate, finding his anima and his animus, you see. So the male has the archetype of the anima, and he projects it out, and there's a beautiful woman, and she suddenly wears his anima, and he has to have her. He has to find unity with her. And now we're talking about Harvey Weinstein. So what I said this morning was that Harvey Weinstein and his like, as a pattern, Bill Cosby, just to top the tip of the iceberg, is the male who has an anima fixation. And the anima is always elusive. She is always just out of reach. She is always saying, no, but no, but no. You see, that's eroticism. No, but no, but yeah. That's, you see. So anyway, so those men who have an anima fixation, like Trump, are going to have a compulsive desire to chase the anima on the next beautiful woman that comes by, that wears the cloak of their anima, you see. And so then, by any means possible, they're going to try to possess it. But if they ever get one, then they become bored and they have to go chasing another one, you see. So when the anima becomes a wife, well then, wait a minute, where did my anima go? You see, this is just a human being. You see, so the anima is a goddess. You see, so the anima fixation is I must possess the goddess to restore my original unity. You see, so it becomes a compulsion. You might say a spiritual compulsion in a lower realm. Not the higher realm of the spirit, but the lower realm of the sexual manifestation, of the sexual field. So they're trapped in the sexual field, you see. But it's a spiritual drive towards unity and completeness, trapped in a sexual field, which is pornography, by the way, you see. But anyway, I have to wet my throat here. So we're kind of like looking at a culture that is the engine of our consumer culture, if you look at it from like a riverboat pilot, is that it's driven by, it creates the anima and animus fixation. That's why print media, advertising, everything is sold by boobs. Beautiful women. Playboy. Hugh just died. He created an anima projection in print, you see. The Playgirl of the month was this month's anima projection. Put her on the wall. The goddess is there, you see. So our culture has tapped into these archetypal projections in order to sell consumer goods, because it's consumerism that drives the culture. So this use of the anima animus has been institutionalized, and we're enculturated into it as soon as we're born into this culture. This is why I think there's so much resistance against the Islamic culture, against being, quote, modernized, is because if you look at their culture, the anima is covered. The women are covered. You can't project an animal on a black sheet. You can't project your animal on a sheet with two little holes in it. You see? She's covered. So you can't generate an economic system on it. But I don't want to get into that. That was just an observation. There's the two differences. If you look at the two cultures that are in conflict, one culture covers up the female body, and the other one exposes it down to two Band-Aids and a cork. It's like, take it off, cover it up, take it off. We want to see everything you got. Cover it up. You see. Of course, the irony is that if you get to a nudist camp, there's no eroticism there. There's nothing covered. Yeah, it's boring. There's just a bunch of bodies running around. You see. Cover something up. Whoa! Now I'm projecting. Now I want to get that, you see. Anyway, thanks for dropping in. And we'll continue our cruise, observing the ripples in our culture to see what icebergs lie beneath the surface. Maybe not icebergs, but logs and sandbars, stuff like that. Thank you.